The NBA is horrified of this, and his training camp for the NBA is getting underway. Damian Lillard spoke out and revealed some wild details about his training plan this offseason, and he is ready to shock the NBA. We also have some details on Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo, their training plan together in the offseason. It might not be what you all expected, so stay tuned for that on this episode. We also have some other things to discuss as well. Before we get into it, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. We're very close to 1,000 subscribers, and that has been a big milestone of ours for a while. So if you're part of the 86% of viewers that aren't subscribed, make sure to hit that button. This is the place to be for daily Milwaukee Bucks content. And as the season is fast approaching, lots of things are going to be going down, and we're going to have you covered for all of it. So without further ado, let's get into it. Obviously, the training camp for the NBA started yesterday, and there's a lot of stuff to go over. Damian Lillard came out and revealed some interesting things. We have some interesting notes on Giannis Antetokounmpo and Damian Lillard as well. They spoke out on what needs to happen this upcoming season. But let's start with Damian Lillard. Now, in an interview, he came out and revealed an absolutely insane training plan that we have never seen before. So you can see this here. Now, quite frankly, you can see it. This is a little bit wild. So Damian Lillard essentially trained with David Goggins, and he was put through an absolutely brutal workout. You can look at all the different things he did there, but quite frankly, I'm not exactly sure of the details and, if it was this crazy, if he fully did this all at once or whatnot. But we know that in an interview, he basically came out and said that he trained with David Goggins this offseason in order to ensure that he is going to be in the best shape of his life heading into next year. Now, obviously, it's no secret how rough the year was for Damian Lillard, for Giannis Antetokounmpo, and the Milwaukee Bucks. Obviously, Giannis had a great year. He's going to have an MVP caliber year every single year. But the Bucks fell short of what their goal was. And Damian Lillard wanted in the offseason to get in better shape and to prove a point to fans this year, because at this point, a lot of NBA fans are kind of underestimating the Milwaukee Bucks heading into next season. It's kind of, people are projecting the Bucks to have a bit of a down year, and Dame has come out and put himself through absolute hell in an unbelievable offseason surrounding what he is, training for and what the training is looking like. So it's a little bit wild. It's good to see that he's really taking this offseason seriously, and the NBA is going to be horrified if Giannis and Dame come together and actually have the year we expect them to have, because coming into this season, we obviously knew, or last season, sorry, we thought that, hey, Giannis and Dame, that is an unbelievable duo. Obviously, they didn't quite get it. But one interesting thing to note here is you can see from this tweet, so Giannis and Dame didn't work out together this off season, and that's very interesting to me. And is it a bad thing? I don't think so. Obviously, they each have their own training camp regime and all these different things, but it is slightly interesting that they never worked out together and they never, directly trained together this off season. Now, obviously, again, Dame was kind of focused on his own training camp and his own training this offseason. He was focused with David Goggins. He was working super hard, obviously getting in the best shape of his career, because he's not young anymore. He's in his mid-30s. So at this point, he needs to be in the best shape of his life in order for him to have a great year. And this is kind of make or break from the Milwaukee Bucks. If they come out and they have another disappointing year where they lose in the first round like they did last year, they're not really going to be in a great position. They signed a couple one-year deals. They signed GTG to the veterans minimum one-year deal. They made a lot of additions, which we'll get into in a minute, to help propel them into what's supposed to be even, contention for the NBA championship. But with how good the Boston Celtics are, they really need to step up here. And it's a bit interesting that they didn't work out together. I don't think that it's, there's beef there. I don't think anything is wrong. I just think it ultimately came down to the two guys just not working out together, which is very interesting to me. And I want you guys to let me know in the comment section, is this concerning to you at all? It didn't work out together, or do you think it's just the fact that, hey, ultimately, at the end of the day, they're both, professionals. They're both grown men. They're both athletes that are both great NBA players. Nothing really to worry about when it comes to two great NBA players working out what their training plan is. They've both been in the league for long enough to where I think, especially for Dame's case, he wants to be unreal next year. He wants to put himself in the best position to do so, and he did so by having one of the hardest and craziest workouts I've ever seen. So, obviously, we look at the Bucks depth chart now. We have Dame, we have Middleton, we have Taurean Prince, of course, all these guys. And ultimately, you're looking at how it's starting to shape out. And after last year's disappointing season, Dame and Giannis both came out and spoke out about the year, about what they need to do, about what went wrong last season. And they made the proper additions. They got a guy like Taurean Prince at 3-and-D. Gary Trent Jr. on a great deal contract, a steal of a contract, 3-and-D. And you obviously have, hopefully, Chris Middleton being healthy for the start of the year. And ultimately, health is going to be the deciding factor for this team. They get eliminated in the first round last year because of the injuries, because of their lack of, ability to be healthy and stay healthy, whether that was Giannis or Dame. And ultimately, if they can continue to stay healthy and hope to stay healthy this year, they'll be in very good shape. And Bucks believe that better stability, cohesiveness, and help should help them regain status as contenders. And Dame came out and had some very interesting things to say. So he said, everybody went out to warm up, and me and him were the only two people in the locker room, Lillard said. I just told him, I was like, I don't know what's going to happen, but me and you have got to get connected. We've got to get something done. He agreed. Once he agreed, the conversation went a whole different way after that. It became a much more open conversation. And from there, just went into the summer, just communication. I think that's more important than us getting on the court and working out together and all that stuff. This is, of course, on Damian Lillard and Giannis, working out what they need to do this year. So he's speaking out on Giannis and Dame. And in case you didn't know, you can work out until you're blue in the face. As soon as I say something in a game or he says something in a game and it doesn't register, it's not being received, then it's not going to work how you want it to work. I think that communication was open. I think that was the most important thing. So some very interesting things there. Basically, again, they're not working out together. They don't really, at this point of their careers, they both just need to get that cohesiveness. They need to become stable together. Like, stable meaning the team needs to be healthier. They need to have more cohesion. And ultimately, when it comes to stability and cohesiveness and health, they need to have plays locked in. They need to have everything locked down. And when your team is kind of just jumbled, in this case, when it's not stable, you're not going to be able, especially when you're Dame and Giannis Antetokounmpo, you're not going to be able to go out there and practice. It's never going to work the same way in a game. Everybody knows that. Plays happen. Different things happen. There's obviously adjustments throughout the game. But being able to practice that and just being able to learn off of one another's tendencies, especially for Dame and Giannis. They're both two very different players, and it's always hard. We've seen it with the Clippers. We've seen it with almost every team James Harden's been on. It's hard when you have two stars who haven't played together before, and especially in Giannis' case, hasn't really had a true co-star. You think back to, they had Drew Holiday, you had other guys, but when you're looking at a true MVP caliber player on your side, Giannis now has Damian Lillard, and he's going to have to learn how to use Dame to the best of his ability. And you'll see, now that Antetokounmpo has had a year to adjust to playing alongside Lillard, the Bucks believe they can reassert themselves as championship contenders. He says he feels way, way better going into the season, and I do know that my teammates and my coaches, they're going to get the real version of me this year. So everything is looking up if they can be healthy, if they can work together, and ultimately what it comes down to is Giannis and Dame being able to play together, learning each other's tendencies, and just being familiar with each other on the court, because we saw it countless times last year. It wasn't a perfect fit, and it wasn't the perfect fit that we thought it was going to be, but we knew there were going to be growing pains there, and it's going to be up to them next season in a couple weeks to really show us that whatever they worked on in the offseason has paid off, because it's kind of do or die for the Bucks over the next couple of years, especially as Dame continues to get older and Giannis continues to put up these MVP prime years. But let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on all of this. I think the Bucks are prone for a very big and a very exciting season, and we'll keep you up to date with all the latest Bucks news.